If you've ever opened a jar of Pace Picante Sauce and thought, I wish I could make this at home, today I'm showing you how. And it might be even better. I'm Johnny Mac, and this is the Sauce and Gravy channel. In today's recipe, I'm going to show you how to make a Pace style picante sauce. Begin with the prep work. You'll start off with a little chopping. 2 ingredients, 1 white onion, and 2 jalapeno peppers. For this recipe, we'll use half of a white onion. Chunk size matters. If you cut these guys too big, it's going to feel like a pico. If you cut them too small, well, it's going to feel like a blended salsa. So they need to be just right. Slice the tops off of the jalapeno peppers and then cut them in half. And a lot of people think that the more heat for picante sauce, the better. But that's not right. For a Pace style picante sauce, heat should be a background flavor. Take out the internal white membrane for a mild heat. And if you'd like a medium heat, put the seeds in the membrane to the side, and whenever you're cooking the sauce down, add a little bit in at a time. We'll dice these guys up into uniform pieces. Not too big, not too small. Pace picante sauce should make you reach for another chip, not a glass of milk. Should look something about like this. That takes care of the prep work. Now we'll move on to the next step of cooking the picante sauce. You can go about cooking this recipe one of 2 ways. Either you can throw everything into the pot and simmer it down for 30 to 45 minutes, or you can take a shorter route of blending half of the items and then adding the rest of the whole chunky items in and simmering it down for roughly about 10 minutes. For the recipe today, I'm going to take the shorter route. I'm going to use an immersion blender, blend up half of the ingredients, and then add everything else in. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a food processor or a blender to blend half of the items, put it into the pot. This recipe calls for 2 cups or 465 grams of crushed tomatoes. I'm going to add half to the pot. To that, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup or 188 milliliters of water. I'm just going to add all of it in. You'll also use 1/4 of a cup of distilled white vinegar. I'm just going to put all that in as well. Half of a white onion. I'm going to put half of that in. And 2 jalapenos. I'm going to drop in roughly about 1. This recipe also calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. You'll also need half of a teaspoon of sea salt. Give it all a quick blend. It doesn't have to be extremely smooth. You still want a touch of texture. Now you can add everything else to the pot. How is it different from salsa? Picante sauce uses vinegar for acidity instead of lime juice. Tomatoes are cooked or processed and they're not raw. Texture is uniform and scoopable and not rustic. The flavors are savory and tangy and not bright and citrusy. Turn the heat to medium and bring it to a light simmer. Make sure that you mix everything well. Once it starts to come to a simmer, you can reduce the heat and let it simmer down, uncovered, for roughly 10 minutes. If you like homemade sauces, check out the channel's cookbooks. Each recipe comes with a free video tutorial to help guide you through the cooking process. I'll put links in the video's description as well as on the channel's website if you'd like to round up a copy. Whenever the sauce is thick, you can take it off heat. And it should generally look about like this. Let the sauce cool at room temperature, and then you can put it in the fridge covered and store it for roughly 1 week. This recipe will approximately make 3 cups or 780 grams. And that's how you make a Pace style picante sauce. It goes great with chips, obviously, for that big game. You can spoon it over scrambled eggs or an omelet, put it over grilled chicken, switch it out with ketchup for a burger, stir it into a melted cheese for a queso base, or you can use it as a marinade by adding some oil, then throwing in some beef or pork and let it marinate. Thank you so much for watching the Sauce and Gravy channel. If you found this recipe helpful, be sure to hit that like button, hype it up, and share it with your friends. Check out my channel for more delicious sauce and gravy recipes. And remember, until next time, keep whisking, y'all.